Everyone still looks uncomfortable.
Perhaps they're all remembered that old saying, power corrupts.
Welcome to SOS episode 14. I guess we should call this the actual podcast. Second Officer Slog. Sorry, I'm your host, and with me is co-host Jackson.
Hello, I'm Jackson. We have just recorded episode 15 already.
Yeah, no, that's a long one. That'll be out next week. So if we're a little punchy today, that's why. We're here to talk about Magic to Make the Sanest Man Go Mad, which is Discovery episode 7. It aired 29th of October 2017. It is written by Aaron Eli Colite and Jesse Alexander, directed by David M. Barrett. It takes place stardate 21. No, that is the stardate. Weird. 2136.8.
There is a stardate in this episode. Whereas like all the other episodes have been going on like the timing. Which is like the last episode was in December 2256, so this is probably still December. Maybe it's January 2057 now.
Yeah, no, the problem for me was I saw 2138 and 36, and I was like, that's enough of a Star Trek number to be a date, not a star date, and I was freaked out. But no, that's like Enterprise time. Yes.
I would prefer they just keep going because they're pretty clear about how long it's been. It's around then. I would guess probably January, but could be still December.
Yeah. In this episode, there is a party on the Discovery. Burnham is very awkward at parties, and Tilly makes no small effort to get her hooked up with Ash Tyler. They are called to the bridge, Tyler and Burnham, that is, to see a space whale, which I don't have the name of because the Memory Alpha summary doesn't have it, so I don't know what that thing is called, but it's a big space whale. They bring it on board because it is an endangered species and seems to be damaged, and out from it emerges a mysterious figure in a spacesuit who tries to take over the ship. He fails because you can't take over a Starfleet vessel single-handedly, and takes off his helmet to reveal it is Harry Mudd, escaped from the Klingons by whatever reason, and ready to take over the Discovery to sell it to the Klingons because he knows the ship is useful. He knows it's got something special about it. He just doesn't know what. He says he's going to see them soon and then blows up the ship. Burnham is at a party. Tilly is trying to get her hooked up with Ash Tyler.
It's one of those episodes. We have a time loop.
We have a time loop that continues many, many times. Stamets, because he's been injected with the tardigrade DNA and exists in a weird mycelium universe, is immune to the effects of the time loop, so he is aware every time it happens that he's stuck in a time loop. And the episode is mostly him trying to continually convince Burnham that she is in a time loop and get her help to stop Mudd from destroying the ship before he figures it out. Because if he figures out that Stamets runs the spore drive, he will know how to run the ship and then sell it to the Klingons, and then the loop will be closed and any damage he's done will be permanent. Because Mudd is killing lots of people every time, including killing Lorca many, many times for leaving him in that Klingon prison, which I guess I understand. Anyway, there's a big confrontation. Then they all offer to sacrifice Burnham, because Burnham is more valuable to Mudd than even the Discovery, because the Klingons will pay lots of money for her because she killed T'Kuvma, and the Discovery and Stamets, they'll all be sacrificed to Mudd if he lets everyone else go. And he contacts the Klingons, but it turns out they reprogrammed the communicator to actually contact his wife that he is trying to find, or his betrothed, not his wife, his betrothed, Stella, who is the daughter of a weapons seller who is like a rich and powerful man in this era of war. And they beam aboard and strong arm Mudd into going with them. Mudd's gonna go get hitched and leave the show. The end.
This is maybe the most like, hey, it's a Star Trek episode. It's a time loop.
It's a time loop.
It's a time loop, and the ship blows up at the end of every time loop.
Yeah, no, in spectacular fashion.
Yep, multiple times, multiple deaths. There's a death montage of the various ways that Mudd has killed Lorca. It's beautiful.
Because not only does Mudd just want to like take over the ship and will slowly get better and better at it each time, he also just hates Lorca and wants to kill him in painful new ways each time. So there's just a great montage of him like walking into Lorca's office and shooting him, and then like the camera just turns to him like as the door opens and Lorca walks in and shooting Lorca, and then he walks off onto the bridge and shoots Lorca. Then he sits on the chair and Lorca's coming at him and he shoots Lorca while he's eating a sandwich, and it's just the most ridiculous thing.
It's a lot. I want to see the so there's like a trivia fact on Memory Alpha that's like this must have gone on for like this at least 28 hours with how many times the Lorca has been murdered. So he had to have some attempts where he just like went in and got some food.
Yep.
Like, I'm just gonna take this one off.
Well, they mention when they figure out that he's using like a time crystal to reset time, and it only works for 30-minute loop or whatever. They mention that he used this in the past because he bragged in prison that he robbed a Betazoid jail. Like, he memorized all the guard patterns and all the codes and everything, and he was able to sneak in and rob the place blind. A Betazoid bank. Sorry. I want to see a Betazoid bank because that sounds ridiculous. Especially in light of we've read Imzadi, and I can't imagine Beta Z having a bank, much less having one that could be broken into. And 2, I want the story of Mud stealing. I want Heist Mud.
Oh, Heist Mud's pretty good.
Yep. Sequel to iMud, Heist Mud.
Yep. Sequel to iMud, lowercase though. It's referencing the other.
We're moving back and forth through time.
In a week, you'll be like, you'll get it. You'll still won't find it funny because it's not, but you'll be like, oh. Yes. God. Mud's very good. Rainn Wilson's excellent.
Yeah, him like playing Mud with, like, we talked when episode 5 happened that it's like interesting to see this character that on TOS is like a very broad, ridiculous man, is like, he's played with like a really quiet menace, and in this episode he just shows up and starts murdering people. Like, his violence is like very calculated and very perfunctory in a way that is like really shocking, given that we've had Lorca like, I'm going to do whatever it takes and I'm going to feel bad about it, but it's my soul to damn. And the Klingons were just like, we'll murder whoever we want, and like sing about it and be happy about it. To see Mud doing this for like basically just to get a payday is like really chilling, and it's really good.
Yeah, no, Mud's evil.
Yep. And it's interesting because it doesn't really gel with the TOS version of Mud, but I like that they're like willing to say, no, when you think about Star Trek, Mud is actually one of the most contemptible characters in the original series, and he is. We're just going to play it that way for our audiences. So
I haven't like seen those episodes, but what I know about Mud is he is a character with a ship of essentially slave women that he is going to sell. So this morally all checks out to me. I assume it's like different in the presentation, and the way in which like Mud is played for comedy is probably broader than it would be like now. But
yeah, Mud in the original series is like, what if a Ferengi was like a cowboy?
Okay. That's what I get for just like the things I have seen.
Yeah.
But like, I like the idea of taking the morality of like what that character actually textually is and working with that more than like the morality of the way his like tone is portrayed of being a goof.
Yep.
And then when he is like at the end of the episode, when his betrothed, when Stella shows up, and they're like, "Oh, the only thing, like, is there anything you need us to do to repay you?" Just make sure he takes care of Stella for as long as he can.
Yep.
They beam on board the Discovery, and they bring the 60s with them.
Yeah, no, Stella in particular is just like the loudest top, and then like solid red pants that are just searingly bright against everything blue and gleaming and clean in the Discovery.
When we talked about how weird it would be like the Enterprise existing in this universe, and you just have this other element that is that, like, not as direct, but the 60s show up on this ship and they look like the 60s, and off Mud goes to go to the 60s. Like,
yeah, what that actually means is that the thing that is weird in this universe is the Discovery, which makes sense given that it's a weird Black Ops ship.
Yes. Yes, it is. It's a very weird Black Ops ship.
Yeah. So this episode's full of ridiculous things. I want to talk about the fact that Drunk Tilly is a delight, and that she continues to do science in her party dress and heels is my favorite thing in the world.
Oh, Drunk Tilly's so good. I mean, Tilly's just the best in general.
Yep. She's going through a musician phase right now. So that one loop where Stamets is like, "There's a guy over there. He likes you. He says he's in a band," and just pushes her out of the way. It's so good.
Oh God, man, Stamets is excellent.
Yep. Stamets really comes into his own in this episode where like he was like, oh, we joked about, oh, he's just high as shit now because he's communing with his mushrooms. But now it's just turned into he's just like really in touch with himself in the universe because he's communing with his mushrooms. But actually he's still really good at science and being a Starfleet officer and can just talk to Burnham about like how he fell in love and how Burnham and Ash are clearly interested in each other and need to say something, goddammit. Even though he's a Klingon, clearly he's a Klingon. He's so tall. The first thing Stamets does when he meets Ash Tyler is like, you're so tall.
The thing that is really great about Stamets here is the way they like define his mushroom communion existence. Is that one, obviously he's not like worse at science now. He's not like a worse officer because of this. But the way in which he's like, oh, I'm high all the time and like being weird is just that he can't be bothered dealing with anyone's like bullshit. It's like, no, yep. I don't have time to be polite. I'm on a spaceship with my mushrooms.
Yep.
That's really exciting. Like he plays to other characters like he's being just, oh god, this annoying guy, but he's just the most overly earnest person about everything at all times. He's like he's a child constantly.
Yeah, he's really good, and his story about him, how him and Dr. Culber got together is very cute.
That moment's excellent with them like dancing.
Yep, just in the corridor.
Yes, he dances with Burnham. Saying that, hey, you're gonna have to dance with Tyler later, so I'm gonna have to teach you, even though you won't remember, but just trust me on this one. And he like gives her the story of how he and Culber met, and just,
so
yes.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, you go.
No, because my thing will drift off at this point.
Okay, I just thought it was good. I just thought it was a good scene. It was a really like nice, quiet scene. I really like Burnham in this episode. Burnham's very good.
The thing that happens is that he's the one who knows he's in a time loop. But in like TNG, when there's a time loop episode, what actually happens is the characters start to like remember that they're going through the same loop over and over again. Because time is weird and the way it like interfaces with people is weird. And the way Stamets is able to increasingly get Burnham over to his side faster and faster and her like believe him more strongly each time implies that she's actually also catching on. The trick here is that he needs her to like catch on faster than Inertia and Deja Vu would catch on, because Fenton Mudd is like actually trying to figure something out and they have to beat him to the punch.
Yes. There is a good article. I bring up the Vulture recaps a lot, the Mallory Ortberg ones, and the article this week, the Discovery recap, is about Stamets in this episode in the context of the Kevin Spacey news. And
do you want to briefly summarize what that is in case someone doesn't know?
Yes. So Anthony Rapp went public with an article about Kevin Spacey essentially sexually assaulting him when he was 14 years old. It's disgusting. Fuck Kevin Spacey forever. And this article is really good, as it basically points out the thing that makes Star Trek good and the thing that is like tragic and inspiring about like people coming forward with this stuff is the commitment to being honest, the commitment to like Stamets' story about like the point of this article is like Stamets' story in this episode is about him basically getting together with someone because like being like open and honest and able to make that work rather than like, oh, we like each other. Like the work of doing things is the most important thing. And in the shadow of like this thing coming out, it like shows how important a message that is a very nice like tribute to how good because fucking Anthony Rapp kills it at the moment.
Yeah, he's really good in this episode.
I did not like, because I've only like seen him in Rent and stuff. I did not expect him to be like this good. Not as like a slight to him, but I just didn't know. And so I think you should read that article. I'll put it in the link because I like these recaps anyway. That like a lot of the recaps aren't that great because I'm not, I'm very into Star Trek. There's a very specific kind of perspective I'm looking for in this stuff, and these usually hit it. And this is a very good tribute to that stuff. I want to bring that up.
Yep. No, I'm excited to read that. Make sure you give me that link as soon as we're done here.
I will give you the link.
Yes. So yeah, that all happens. We get Ash and Burnham clearly into each other. You don't like this, and I think it's fine. So I don't love it.
I don't mind. So I'm in two perspectives. One, I think everything about Burnham's character and everything she does is basically always perfect. She is the center of the show in a very real way. Her character is fully developed in a way that not a single other Star Trek character has ever been in this few episodes. I think that's fairly easy to say.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But what that does is that Ash, who is clearly fucking a Klingon, like not even any doubt at this point. So either is or they want you to definitely think that means that they play him too broad. I don't know why he's into Burnham, and not like people don't get together because I think you're cute or whatever, but as like a relationship on television, you literally see in Tilly and Burnham's first scene, you understand why those personalities like conflict with each other, what they offer to each other, what those characters want, and how that will like bounce off each other.
Yes.
I don't get that with Ash, because Ash is like too broad. He's just nice man that doesn't say too much, because they haven't really revealed much about his like backstory, his motivation. I don't really know what he wants, because he just wants to be a good officer, because what he actually wants is he's a Klingon. And so, because assuming that they are like playing towards some kind of reveal there, and even if that's not the actual reveal, they are playing it broad enough to the point where that is like a possibility they want you to think. I don't really like buy into this relationship as anything other than doomed plotting. Like, it exists to set up the tragedy of when this falls apart. I don't buy Tyler that much. I know you do, but
so
I want to hear that.
I don't disagree with anything you say about this, but one, if he's Vok, there's a very clear reason he wants to get involved with Michael Burnham, and that's because his whole point is to destroy Michael Burnham.
Well, I know that. I'm not saying why. I'm saying that as like two characters hooking up on a television show.
From Michael Burnham's point of view, I think the idea of her being drawn to someone because she senses like an innate like remoteness to him, like there's like a weird like guarded, like he seems like the most affable like man on earth, but you like, because everyone else is not like that, and because it's played the way it is, you get the sense that there's like something else behind it. And I like the idea that her of all people would be drawn to someone who is also hiding like the alienness of their upbringing on this ship, where they're trying very hard to appear like a normal human being. Like, I get why that's the person she's automatically interested in.
I agree. I don't disagree with any of this, but also I think that we're basically describing what would happen if he was like actually 100% definitely Vok, right?
Yes. And if he's not Vok, he is just a character they have not figured out and is kind of badly written, which is fine for a show that's in its first season. I'm not here to say that makes Discovery bad, but I'm operating on the assumption that he is both a Klingon and probably Vok. And if that's not true, then yeah, this is all just kind of bad.
and I agree. I think the idea of Vok because Vok and Burnham are positioned as like parallels in the start there. They're both like kind of outcasts in their society. A lot happens. They both kill each other's mentor. That like things are bad for them in very similar ways, and they actually both want the same thing and will clearly at some point probably team up before the end of the show. At least that was my thinking then. Who knows where it's going to go now? Like, there's been a lot of twists. But because that's what is probably happening, it just means that in the void of that, I don't understand like Ash, the character he's portraying. I wish they had given him some backstory like that is basically like enough of a stand-in for like why he feels like an outsider, because we have a reason that we think it is, but I don't know why he would be that in the show. Like, I guess they should maybe play up the fact that he was on a prison camp for 7 months more. Like, that's enough for me. But
I mean, they mention it every episode, even though the timeline for that doesn't make any sense, and we've gone over that.
Yeah, but he doesn't like play it as like traumatized in the way. I don't know.
I know that like that's part of it. Also, like none of it scans. And last episode was about the fact that it doesn't scan. And the only person who like actually brought that up is now captured by the Klingons.
And I agree. And like I don't think it's that like bad or anything. I'm not saying this is a bad show or this is like enough to ruin anything. I just think that the writing of Ash Tyler, especially with the like fandom assumption that this is clearly Vok at this point, is broad in a way that could potentially hurt the show a lot in the future. If that is the revelation, and they are not going to do it until like 10 episodes time, that's ridiculous. That should happen sooner, because
we don't even have 10 episodes of this season left.
You don't even. I meant the end of the season.
Okay.
But if that's not the revelation, then they need to give Ash something, and fast.
I mean, like on some level, I think it's okay to not have every character have like an extensive backstory when you start. Like TNG isn't giving characters backstories until season 7 in a lot of cases.
I don't mean backstory necessarily. Like Tilly's stuff isn't backstory. Tilly's stuff is literally the first moment you talk to her, you understand her as a character. Like,
yeah, no, that's fair.
That's like partially luck because of the character she is. Like, they lucked into a very...
I mean, there's still like a weird hanging question about Tilly in that show that they have not answered yet.
What's the big hanging question about Tilly?
She doesn't have a roommate because of her like special needs, and they've not said at all what her special needs are.
They're not going to say what her special needs are. She is going to be like vaguely implied autistic, is how I'm reading that.
I mean, I guess so, but I feel like if that was the case, they would just say something. Especially, like, maybe I would have believed that before this episode, but this episode goes out of its way to show like a character that's like disabled / maybe like partially paralyzed in a wheelchair, and like gestures them as like, this person serves on the ship just fine. Like what physical impairment and disability means in the universe of Star Trek actually is different than our definition of those things.
I mean, I would love nothing more, because I like Tilly a lot as someone else who is like autistic and
yeah, because I also read it as like, oh, is she going to be like this autistic character? But everything since then doesn't really play into that depiction, and maybe it's just better written than most shows. But also, like, I feel like they'd bring it up before now if it was like an important character beat.
I don't necessarily think anything like necessarily conflicts with that, but like mostly because of like how broad a diagnosis like autism isn't just the one thing that TV portrayed it as for ages. Like, this could totally play just fine. But yes, I would love for them to be more specific about that and like go into what her mental health situation is. Because I also read that as a very clear mental health like illusion. I assume that will stay at that, but nothing will make me happier for them to like be specific about it. I would love that.
But like, I mean, if it is like she's an autistic character, then like they've managed to do that and not be obnoxious about it. Thank God.
Yeah, no, I mean, that is my assumption. I assume she's not going to be... she's not like a cartoon. She's not like the weird, awkward nerd girl. Like,
yeah, and like the ways in which she's weird and awkward are like, in many ways, like your audience surrogate. Like, she loves Star Trek the way we love Star Trek, and she is like a fully fledged person with like differing interests, and does like, she's the most functioning human being on that ship.
The thing that I love about Tilly, the thing that especially in light of other characters that are like either directly or indirectly like given overtones of being autistic or mental health, just put into that representation box on television, is that she is very awkward. She doesn't really like know how to interact with people that well, but she understands them. The fact that she like is actually probably the most emotionally intelligent person of like the cast so far, just in a like functional sense. Like, she explains to Burnham multiple times, no, you said this, so this person is going to think this, but that doesn't like, but in her own interaction, she still has like her anxiety, her awkwardness. Like, I like that those two things can coexist, because obviously I feel that like a lot. Like, in a distance, people are very easy to understand. It's just when you talk to them, it sucks. So Tilly's great. I didn't expect to go deep in my Tilly feelings, but
no, it's fine. It's just worth like this show plays like weird long games with some of its like character beats, and I think that's okay. Mm-hmm. If Ash Tyler isn't Vok and they fill it in later, then that's fine. But in like right now, the question mark is big. If he's not Vok, then yeah, this episode is really weird. But I'd be interested to see what other answer they have.
Yep, no, me too. And yeah, I hope they have something. And it's not that like Ash Tyler is like bad, because in every other, like, I watched Enterprise. I watched the first season of Enterprise. Everyone is the broadest then. Like, it's because he's playing up against Michael Burnham, who is the thing this show revolves around in like a very specific way. No character has had this much done this quickly, because Star Trek doesn't really work like that.
Yeah.
Which is exciting.
Yeah, no, for sure. So what else do we got going on here?
Well, we got all the deaths.
We talked about the death montage.
We didn't talk about Ash Tyler and then Burnham eating the most painful weapon in the universe.
Yeah, part of the deaths. I don't actually have a whole lot to say there, honestly. I did want to say, it is nice to just see scenes, because we really haven't had them, of just everyone on the bridge doing bridge shit.
Yes.
Like, Burnham's over there at the science station with Ash Tyler behind her, like, at security, and, like, them, like, her bickering with Saru about what they do with the space whale, and Lorca being like, I just don't give a damn, get it done. Like, why are you bothering me with any of this shit? Like, just the dynamic of that bridge, like, even in that scene that only lasts, like, a minute and a half, is, like, so clear immediately.
Yeah. No, oh, man, Lorca's so good.
Yeah, Lorca being like, Burnham's like, I want to go take care of the space whale myself. He's like, I don't give a damn, get it done. Yeah. And then Ash Tyler's like, permission to go with her, sir. I still don't give a damn.
Yeah, like when I talk about the Ash stuff, I mean like when you come into scenes like this, which literally are the entire premise of certain series, and they have to establish that in less than a minute.
Yep.
Like, yeah, it is in a different world at some point. Oh god, that scene's so funny.
Yep. Yeah, it's really good.
Look at us give a shit.
The thing so far in 7, this is episode 7, right?
Episode
7 of Discovery. I really like that we have had 2 major aliens that are non-humanoid. Because it's the thing that Star Trek would, in theory, do really often. It's the thing the Kelvinverse actually does pretty frequently because they have a budget. Giving Star Trek the budget to just have like a space whale is good, and I like it. I like non-humanoid stuff. Like, I know that's one of the reasons I'm really excited to read like Titan, because Titan has like a dinosaur doctor on it. And
what?
Like, every time we talk about this, you have the same reaction because you immediately forget again.
Okay, well, there we go.
There is a record on this podcast of me saying that. So
everyone can live our friendship.
And so like Star Trek is always the fucking funny forehead show, right? Because that's what you have the budget for. So I like Giant Space Whale. I like the tardigrade. I'm glad that they continue to do this stuff.
I also like the main funny forehead person on the bridge is human.
Yep.
Like that's clearly an injury because that's the lady from the Shenzhou.
Yeah. And hers is like clearly just like an appliance to like help with her recovery or whatever.
Sure, but it definitely design wise fills in the funny forehead box.
Yep. And Saru is like a radically different. That's a much more ambitious makeup than they'd ever would have done before.
Oh, Saru. So far in this whole show, the single most Kelvinverse thing happens, and it is the party.
Yep.
Because it's like playing music.
They play an Al Green song that I know.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
That part's not Kelvinverse.
Yeah, no. It would be much more obnoxious music if it was Kelvinverse-y.
Yes. Well, like the music that's playing in the background, like the song that they've chosen, is very obnoxious in a very obnoxious party way. The difference between like this party and like Riker coming up and playing his trombone.
Yep.
Worlds apart.
The thing about this is, as much as like, I don't know, like it's weird because I feel like me as a kid, if I was watching this like the age when I watched TNG, I would be so annoyed at these like adults having this dumb party where they're drinking and trying to like hook up and stuff. Young me was an idiot. I love that these are just human beings that sometimes just need to blow off steam and have a party and do like weird space beer pong, because this is like an era before Synthale, before everyone got really boring and started doing Shakespeare plays to entertain themselves on the ship.
Because like this stuff goes away in the timeline and also in the portrayal of it. It's just that instead of doing this, they like pretend to be Sherlock. It's like, you know, the idea of something so understandable and identifiable, like, oh, you're hanging out at a party and yelling at people and like trying to hook up, like, yes, that is a thing that happens, everyone knows what that is like. But in other Star Trek shows, it's we went and reenacted the Battle of Britain. Like,
yep. I also don't drink because I play video games.
Okay. I feel seen, as is said online. Yes. I didn't. Yep. Yeah, you know what? Everyone on Star Trek's a nerd.
Yeah, no, that's the best part of Star Trek. Everyone's a nerd.
Yeah, it's good.
I think that's all I really have for this episode. It's not like the deepest episode, but we had a good time. I liked watching it. It's cheesy as all hell in the best way.
Yep, very excited for next week's.
Next week's, I know you don't watch the previews. Okay. Seems like it's the most intense shit in the world.
I saw like 2 seconds of the preview, and they did the thing that all TV shows do when there's like an intense preview, where instead of like cutting directly to it, it's like fading in and out through voiceover. And I'm like, yep. This is the big episode I see.
Yeah, it seems like it's going to be a lot. So I'm excited for that.
Yep. Star Trek's good. Star Trek's fucking good.
Yep. As always, you can ask us questions at podcast@abnormalmapping.com. We have a question. Yes. Do you want to, I'll read it and then you can answer it.
I mean, I have it right here if you want me to read it.
Yeah, leave out anything spoiler. Yes.
Yes.
You know what I
mean. I have opinions about that first line. Okay. Discovery is quickly becoming my favorite TV show, my favorite Star Trek show, and I'm loving the. This is from at Need More Loot. I guess I should say that at the top. The subject line is, "It's tinfoil hat time." So yes, Discovery is quickly becoming my favorite Star Trek show, and I'm loving the direction the episodes have taken. Having jumped the shark in the what I expected a Star Trek show to be in 2017. That's not what jump the shark means.
Yes.
Sorry. But I get what you're trying to say. But anyway, they've been soaking up this show. They enjoy the show quite a lot. Thank you very much. Anyone who wants to email us praise, we love it. Please give us the validation.
I need validation. I'm not popular like Jackson is. Please tell me that I'm good and cool.
I'm not popular. You've seen me with my Twitter followers. I just get anxious all the time.
People go into your Curious Cat and say nice things to you all the time. No one talks to me in my Curious Cat.
All right, fair enough. To that end, I am curious enough. Well, it is part of the part of my brain that likes to speculate on the show. To that end, I am curious what your most tinfoil hat thought about Discovery is. For myself, Lorca's recent comment, "Bring her back in one piece or don't come back at all," made me curious if Lorca's already been party to the act of all good Star Trek captains breaking the temporal prime directive.
I want to point out that this person has put Orca every time Lorca goes in, and I just imagine a giant killer whale in a Star Trek uniform. I mean, I'll watch that show too.
They did have a space whale.
Yeah, that's true.
Has Lorca met Burnham in the past and needs her to bring him a message to save the future? I'll admit that even when they showed us a scene of Stamps Out of Time in the mirror, I did not know if they were going into a mirror universe direction until they mentioned it. What would you like to see from our reflective cousins? For me, I desperately hope a version of Captain Year is still alive. With the 2-part prologue movie still making me wish the show started 7 years prior on many occasions. Love in Section 131, speculation, book podcasts, glad to see the Season 2 confirmation, if only so we get more SOS. Me too. These episodes are a lot. We record a lot of episodes. Live long and prosper, Loot. Thank you, Loot.
Yep. So if you want the 7 years prior, you should probably check out the books, because that's clearly where that's going. I assume in season 2 we will get like a flashback on the Shenzhou episode, probably, assuming they have those sets. But is the bridge is like a different set, isn't it?
Yes, but I don't remember. I bet it's on the same like dead dimensions and rebuilt. Like, yes. Anyway,
I bet we get an episode that's like that in a flashback to solve a mystery in the present, because that's the most Star Trek thing in the fucking world.
Yep.
But yeah, read the books, check out those books. They will continue to make books in this series. I bet they're all going to be about that stuff for the most part.
Captain Georgia is great.
Yeah, like they literally create that to give you a space to play in books, because they don't want to write books on the Discovery, because what the Discovery is might change so radically given where that television is a lot.
Yeah, in a world where you can't have a like present day, I am reading a book of the show I'm currently watching, status quo. Like, you can do that in everything up to Enterprise, but you can't do that in Discovery. You have to be specific about where you're setting the stories. So there's a lot of space around this in the universe for them to play with, and it's all in that Shenzhou stuff. Or even before, like fucking Lorca and Giorgio teaming up to fight Kodos.
To track down Kodos, not to fight Kodos. Nobody fights Kodos. He escapes. We know what happens.
We know that. That is true.
What would you like to see from the Mirror Universe people?
Oh, what do I want to see from the Mirror Universe people? I don't. I bet my prediction, and I guess this is what I would assume as well, is I bet that you will see a version of Burnham where she wasn't raised on Vulcan. I bet that's how they'll do with that.
Was she raised by Klingons?
No, she just has her family.
Oh, what if she's a Klingon warrior Burnham though?
What
if she has a sick scar and a batleth? Like, what if she's awesome?
I like that. I was like, well, probably in the alternate universe they'd like examine this aspect of the character, and you're like, no, this is the Mirror Universe. Fuck you. What if she was a Klingon warrior?
So I say this, and my actual answer is, what I want is for the Mirror Universe people to not be cartoons anymore.
Oh, but also, what if she was a Klingon warrior?
What if she's a Klingon warrior with a sick scar? Yes, I know, but we talked about this a little bit like last Discovery episode, I think, right?
Yes.
Where if Lorca is from the Mirror Universe, what that means for the Mirror Universe is like a much more thoughtful and reflective version of what the Mirror Universe could be. The kind of thing that would be built off of a thing like Mirror Mirror, where like Kirk tells Mirror Spock, you can fix this, one man can change the universe, and then beams off and leaves Spock to get to it. And we don't see that place again until we get horny ass Kira in the DS9 Mirror Universe, and it's fine, I guess, but it's not the same thing.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd be interested. I'm not. I don't really know what I would want from like. I assume, like the obvious stuff, right? Would be Tilly is more like super confident. You just do them like the mirror, quote unquote, in what that means version of the characters, right? Like, but that's kind of boring to me. So I don't really know what I want from that. I'd like it to say more. Like I have more thoughts like you about. I want the mirror universe as a place to be more thoughtful to. Reflect what it says about like the more militarized state of the current universe in the war with the Klingons. I want like that kind of stuff, but I don't actually have any requests about. I definitely want Stamets being not on the mushrooms. Like I don't know. I don't have any good ones for that.
Yeah, and we're still close enough to the original series that it can't be radically different than the mirror depiction.
Yeah.
I mean, it can be as different as like this show is from TOS, but like thematically, it's not that different from like TOS. It's still Star Trek as Star Trek.
Yep. What do we say about the theory of Lorca and the Temporal Prime Directive? Lorca meeting Burnham in the past.
We joked about this a lot when episode 3 hit, and Lorca is clearly the most evil man. And the joke, like, there was like a fan theory before everyone settled on Mirror Universe that like the reason he has like a Gorn skeleton and has all this weird shit in his menagerie of evil things is that he's gathered them all from throughout time to be on this ship in this moment, which is maybe the dumbest theory I've ever heard. I would think it's hilarious if it's true, but it doesn't make much sense given the kind of like the ways in which Star Trek deals with time travel. Lorca's big reveal being that he's from the future trying to like fix the war here doesn't fly with the rest of Star Trek or anything, and I just don't think it's very interesting.
Yep. I don't think it's like necessarily, oh, this is a terrible idea, but I don't really have big. I don't think it like says anything about his character. Like, I guess if he could go into the past, he could do anything. He could end the war. He could go back to the day it started, and like, I don't know where you go with that other than like mystery box stuff of all Burnham has knowledge that he needs to do this, and that's like stuff I'm not interested in for television.
Yeah, for sure. Outside of that, I don't know. What is your most tinfoil hat theory?
I mean, it's not ours. Like, it's the Vok thing. It's like the what if one of these that
has become so accepted as like the thing that the show is doing that I don't even think that counts.
Well, that's what I mean. Is it's like a crazy tinfoil theory that is so obviously true that it's not even a spoiler to talk about how someone's secretly a Klingon before it's been revealed or even confirmed that it's happening. I'm so glad this is releasing week to week.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I don't know if I have like a crazy theory. I mean, we've talked about our Tilly like opinions. I guess maybe that counts.
Yeah, the Tilly stuff is definitely that.
Our surmising about what Vok means if he's not, or what Tyler means if he's not Vok is maybe some of that.
Yeah. Like, I mean, like we have like Saru's gonna get owned, and then he basically did already. They've already covered that ground.
Man, if we go to the Mirror Universe, Mirror Saru will either not exist or be the saddest thing in the world.
Because they can't like flip him on his head and he's not terrified. He has to have like that's encoded in his species.
Yeah, so either like they just killed his entire race and like whatever, or he's like the captain's dog.
Oh, I don't like this.
Yeah, but you know that's where it goes.
Oh, I'm excited. God, man. Whew. Star Trek's good.
What if they go to the Mirror Universe and they meet Chris Pine?
Yes.
You know?
Zachary
and they just meet the Mirror Universe TOS characters, but played by the Kelvinverse characters, and that's how they do their crossover, and it would be hilarious. That's never going to happen. Don't act like that's like a thing that's going to be real. Please know that I'm being totally dumb when I say that.
I think it would be hilarious if they crossed over with the Kelvinverse.
Yes, no, I know, but they won't for a lot of reasons. One, basically those are two different franchises made by two different companies at this point. Two, they can't afford most of those actors, and three, the fans would riot.
Eventually enough time will pass where like everything in Star Trek, no matter how hated it is at the time, eventually has to become like put into the fold, and you work out how to deal with it as like a plot point or a thing in the universe. Eventually that'll happen to the Kelvinverse, and people won't get mad every time you bring it up.
Yeah, I mean, one of those Kelvinverse movies is really good. It happens to be the most recent one. I would like them to make a fourth movie.
Well, yes, no, like they've already done the main work of not having Into Darkness be, this is what Star Trek is. Like, the work to set the path of this happening has already happened. But it'll be a long time before they can actually say, this is a Kelvinverse thing, and everyone goes, hooray!
Yeah.
Because Star Trek fans still have, like, grudges about shit that went down in the 60s.
Yeah. To be fair, I have grudges against shit that went down in the 60s.
Well, that's a different thing.
Anyway, I think that's it. We don't really have any good theories, so Jackson,
yes.
Plugs.
Oh God, I've already done this once.
You're moving back and forth through time.
Back and forth through time, yes. You can find.
Welcome to SOS episode 14. I'm your host M. With me is very co-host Jackson Tyler.
So Barnum has to go to a party. You can find me at Headfuls Off on Twitter. You can find the shows we do at abnormalmapping.com. We have Abnormal Mapping. It is a game club. It is at thebestgame.club. We have the Amory Score if you want to listen to me and Molly yell about COVID in Cambria. That is at ineedmayo.com. We have the Great Gundam Project for $1 patrons who subscribe for $1 a month at patreon.com/abnormalmapping. We also host Fireside Friends, which is a very good podcast. Please enjoy all the stuff. Where are you on Twitter? Let's go lie down.
You can find me at EM_being. As always, as Jackson said, tell your friends about us. Please support us if you can at patreon.com/abnormalmapping. Even $1 gets you good stuff, and, we need it. We need it. We're both poor. We do a lot of podcasts. And we need it.
We're a bit, like, we're very on edge right now. Very like, oh, we've been recording for 3 hours. But thank you very much for the email. If you have emails, theories, even if we can't really expand on them, just email them in, especially about the Discovery stuff, because we're all going through this together. There's not going to be a time to talk about this, like, while it's still going on. Once the reveals have happened, they've happened. We can't have this space to play in after this finishes.
But also, if you just want to send us an email about, like, your favorite Star Trek episodes, we'll cover those in, like, our normal episodes. We don't care. We'll talk about anything Star Trek. I love talking about Star Trek. I don't care which Star Trek it is. I'll talk about it.
Yes. Here, please say assimilate this.
If you want to make me mad, we can talk about First Contact. It's just going to end with me angry, though. Every time First Contact's brought up, I'm mad. I'm just mad about it. It sucks.
We are watching the Kelvinverse movie soon, but at some point we'll have to watch TNG movies.
I will get so mad, I'm going to break my little ship. That's it. We're done. Thanks, everybody. Come back next week for another one of these and a regular episode of SOS. That'll be out on Tuesday. The Discovery episode will be out on Wednesday. That's just how the schedules are worked out. Thanks, everybody. See you out there.